Hope that you like it. Like and subscribe. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.
So what we are doing today is very simple. And that is Senator Thune and Senator McConnell and others have raised objection to the House-passed bill. And in the United States Senate, when we have differences of opinion, what we should be doing is debating that bill. So all that Senator Schumer is asking, all that I am asking is a simple request. Bring the bill to the floor. Not even asking you to vote for it. Bring the bill to the floor. And on top of everything else, we need 60 votes to pass. 60 votes. Can we get 60 votes? I don't know. I think virtually all of the 48 Democrats will vote for it. It means, Senator Thune, that we need 12 Republicans. I gather we got one right here who indicated he would vote for it. 5 or 6 others have been public about saying they will vote for it. Will we get the rest? I don't know. You don't know. But what is the problem with giving members of the United States Senate the opportunity to vote on the legislation? And when we have that debate, you can come up and you can raise all of your objections and we can debate it. Now, I hear Senator Thune and Senator McConnell before him talk about this bill being socialism for the rich, which I got to tell you I find, Mr. President, somewhat hysterical, because that's an issue I have been talking about for many, many years. And I am very delighted that my conservative Republican friends now recognize that we do have socialism for the rich. To paraphrase Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., who said that we live in a society where we have socialism for the rich and rugged individualism for the poor. King was right. But despite what my Republican colleagues are saying, truth is that according to the Tax Policy Center, the top 5% of Americans, the wealthiest people in our country, would receive less than 1% of the benefits of these direct payments. Less than 1%. Doesn't sound to me like too much socialism for the rich. But while we are on the subject of socialism for the rich, which my Republican friends have suddenly become very concerned about, let me talk about the Trump tax proposal that was pushed very hard by Senator McConnell and the Republican leadership, and where I think every Republican voted for it. You want to talk about socialism for the rich? It is not the bill that puts $2,000 into working class hands all over this country. That ain't socialism for the rich. This is socialism for the rich in that bill. Amazon, oh, by the way, I must say this if I may, we were quoting the liberal Washington Post owned by Jeff Bezos, the wealthiest guy in the world. So here is Jeff Bezos' company, Amazon, and they received a tax rebate. They paid nothing in 2018 in federal taxes. That's a corrupt tax system to begin with. But then on top of that, they received $129 million as a tax rebate. That, Senator Thune, is what socialism for the rich. In fact, this particular company is owned by the richest guy in the world. You gave him a $129 million rebate. But it's not just Amazon. Delta Airlines also paid nothing in federal taxes in 2018, and yet they received a $187 million rebate from that particular bill. Chevron, helping to destroy our planet with their carbon emissions, $181 million in a rebate. That, my friends, is what socialism for the rich is about. Socialism for the rich is not, in the midst of this terrible pandemic, putting a $2,000 check into the hands of working families. President, truth of the matter is that as a result of this pandemic, we are living through the worst and most difficult economic period since the Great Depression. Tens of millions of families are facing eviction. All over this country, in the wealthiest nation on earth, moms are struggling to feed their kids, keep the electricity on, and be able to go to the doctor. Now, I hear from our Republican friends that the economy is doing better, but I would like to just read to them a few of the stories that I have received in my office. We ask people, simple question, how are you doing out there? What's going on in your lives? And we receive many, many thousands of responses from people in every state in this country. Just a few, just to bring some dose of reality here to the United States Senate, which often, in the midst of all of the campaign contributions coming in here from the rich, does not know what's going on in the real world. Here's the real world. Gentleman in Texas wrote, $2,000 is the difference between keeping our apartment and being evicted. Mother in Virginia wrote, $2,000 means I can afford to feed my 3 kids. Now, maybe we should give her a long lecture on macroeconomics and how well the stock market is doing. All she's worried about is feeding her 3 children. Woman in Wisconsin wrote, $2,000 would mean not having to choose between rent and groceries and not having to ration my partner's meds. Woman in Nevada wrote, it means paying my rent and getting life-saving treatment because I can't afford the $50 copay through my work insurance just to see my neurologist right now. Father in Florida wrote, quote, it would mean I could pay my bills. My electricity and phone are about to get shut off. I didn't have money for my son on Christmas, and I won't have money for his birthday on January 2nd. Father in New Jersey wrote, it would mean I could pay off credit card debt accumulated during this pandemic, feed my children, and pay my bills. Someone in Texas wrote, it would mean I could actually put food in the fridge. Man in Maryland wrote, quote, it would mean I don't have to beg or go without food, shelter, and medicine. It would mean my family stays warm another couple of months and my dad gets proper treatment.
Senator, yield for a question.
I would.
I'd like to ask a question of the senator from Vermont through the chair. I have listened to the Republican analysis of the bill which you and Senator Schumer and I are asking for a vote on. A bill which passed the House and would give $2,000 basically in allotments or payments to families across America with certain income restrictions. And I've heard from the other side of the aisle repeatedly that this is socialism for the rich, that this is fundamentally unfair, and that we should do things in a targeted way. That's the argument that's made over and over again. And reference has been made repeatedly to the COVID-19 bill that passed last week with 92 votes, including many of the Republicans, virtually all of them, not all of them, but virtually all of them. And so that bill, if I remember correctly, had a $600 payment included in the bill. And I asked my staff, would you please analyze the formula for distributing the $600 and compare it to the formula for the $2,000, which is part of our bill. And lo and behold, they discovered it's the same formula. So if there is some fundamental moral injustice in the distribution of these funds, then I'm afraid all but 6 of the Republicans are guilty of the same immorality, because they all voted for that formula last week when it was $600, and now are scandalized by the notion that the same formula they voted for would be used for a $2,000 payment. I'm sure I've missed something in the translation here. I'd like to ask the senator from Vermont to explain this faux outrage from the Republican side of the aisle.
Well, I think my friend from Illinois missed nothing in the translation. He's exactly right. But I also...
Senator from Illinois makes a good point. Senator, yield for a question.
Yeah.
So if the same formula is used and you're increasing the amount by $1,400 per person, so you're going from basically for a family of four, what would be $2,400 payment to $8,000 payment, and you phase that down using the same formula. Does the senator from Illinois understand the math and why that skews toward people who make a lot more money than they would under the other formula?
If the question's directed toward me, I'll answer it.
Well, I just think that you're making a point and a statement which is not accurate. Because you're saying the formula is the same, the formula is the same, but the inputs change. And so the way it ramps down means that somebody who makes $350,000 gets a payment under the Sanders-Hawley proposal that they wouldn't know, and it phases out a lot sooner, as you know. So let's be clear about how that formula works, because you are misrepresenting the way that formula works.
Can I ask my friend from...
Senator from Vermont has the floor.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. I would ask my friend from South Dakota. Do you disagree with the Tax Policy Center, which says that the top 5% of Americans, the wealthiest people in our country, would receive less than 1% of the total benefits being dispersed?
I have not seen the Tax Policy Center, but I know math, and I know as a basic principle that when you stick bigger numbers in there, and you're using the same formula to phase something out, you're going to make it available to people who make a lot more money. That is a mathematical fact. And what you are saying when you talk about the same formula, it skews entirely different in the income scale. You know that. And all I'm saying is don't misrepresent the facts.
What I am saying is that according to a very reputable tax center organization, people who do this for a living, less than 1% of the benefits of the entire program go to the wealthiest people in this country. So when you're talking about trying to say, oh my God, all of this money is going to the rich, that ain't really true. But I would also ask my friend, where did you suddenly become a religious adherent about concern of socialism for the rich when you gave 83%